Action.
Like champagne, she is bubbly and her shoe game is always on point. Anapenda chuma. She is a big deal in casting for the film industry. Luo girl from Diani. Lorela Jowi is joining us today on Real Talk. Lo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Your name gives me problems with my ngwashe eating time. Anyway, so tell me something. What do you wish actors knew about casting directors?
Well, casting loves actors. Mm-hmm. Casting fights for actors. Casting is always for actors, predominantly.
Yeah.
And casting cares about actors. Imagine, Koy, I'm just trying to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And you are my solution as an actor to my problem.
How long have you been doing this?
Gosh, well over 10 years.
Well over 10 years.
Yeah.
So have you always been doing casting or have you done something else? Are you doing something else?
I started out in production. So I actually was an editorial assistant when I started out. And then I grew in the company, started producing, did a lot of documentary work, traveled around doing that. In the meantime, we started training actors. My then boss was an ex-Hollywood actor. And so we started something called the Slingshot Cinematic Arts trainings, yeah. So with that, we were training. We did a lot of kind of training with actors, and then we realized that okay, we are training people, but then there's no one who is speaking to them on the other side. So I started kind of going to production houses and telling them, oh, we have these actors. Meanwhile, I also had started also kind of knowing people in the industry. So I could tell them, oh, we have actors who maybe you may want to hire for your projects. Then slowly that interest for me grew because I started getting hired to actually find talent. People just gained confidence in what I was doing, how I was delivering, how I was doing my work. Here we are, over about 10 years later. Yeah.
That's a long time. And being that you learned on the job and you were trained, how do you feel about mentorship?
I am huge on mentorship. I think right now I'm at a point in my life and in my career that I'm getting into training. So right now I'm actually formulating a course in casting for talent and people who also want to get to understand how casting works. People who want to consult directly online or one-on-one will have an opportunity to do so. If I do a lot of schools, I've gone to universities around. Whenever I can, really, I hugely believe in mentorship. I believe in holding someone else's hand.
It's true, we pay it forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you think we have an industry?
We do. Mm-hmm. We do. And we have to believe that we do have an industry. Okay. If we believe that we don't have an industry, then we will never have one. Mm-hmm. I am a big fan of Africa cinema. So I look at Nigeria, I look at South Africa as, before I go looking at Hollywood and Bollywood and the likes, yeah, I look back home and looking keenly, like when I was in high school, I used to watch, Afro cinema continues shortly. Those were, that was the benchmark of entertainment, yeah? And see what those actors have done, see what those directors have grown their industry to. Just doing, like, you'd watch things and now if you watch them, they look like, manzi hata sound si poa, hata hiyo camera ilikuwa mbaya, walikuwa soft na nini. But we watched and they kept on feeding us with this content over and over again, mpaka it stuck. So now Nollywood is where they are because of consistency. They have an industry. If we keep being consistent, if we look at Tausi, we look at Tahamaki, Vitimbi, hizi show zote, there are shows ambazo zimetukuza. Vioja Mahakamani, I think to date bado kuna vioja.
True.
Right? This is a show ambayo imetukuza. So we can't neglect and say we do not have an industry. We are an industry in the works. Mm-hmm. And I strongly believe that if we are doing this for the long haul, I want to believe that we are an industry in the works and we are a growing industry.
So it is important to train those who are coming in even without having to go to school, right?
Yes, but I want you to go to school.
Yeah.
No, I've trained. I trained in journalism and public relations. That's my training. So I went into film and trained on the job just because that opportunity presented itself. At the end of the day, let me tell you, Koi, it gets to a point where that paper that you're neglecting, it could be your savior. You can end up being a teacher. You can end up training, not just with the experience. Experience is good, yes, but it's important for you to also have some, backing of having gone to school. I believe in workshops. I believe in training. So whenever you see like there's an offer somewhere of doing a training or where you even need to pay to train, I always hugely advocate. You have to be a master of your craft. I think sometimes it's neglected and people think for you to be an actor, you just need the talent, but you really have to be a master of your craft. So it's important to take on training so that you're a master of your craft.
Wow. All right. So take us through the process of casting from beginning to end. Walk us through your daily journey.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It starts basically when I'm told, oh, there's this project, we need to onboard talent. So I ask, what's the nature of the project? Could you send me a synopsis? Do you have scripts ready? If it's a series, at what point are you with your scripts? How much can you share? Normally I would sign an NDA and then production can send me material. Once I've gone through the material, I can give them a quote, tell them this is what it will cost. Yeah, then we start the work. So the work can be cut in two ways. So it can be open, where we are doing an open casting, or we are closing the casting because the director and producer, and in cases where there's a client, then they know maybe, okay, I think we see so and so, so and so, so and so for this, just call those people in. However, sometimes it's open, especially when they want to cast the net wider, and when there are special, very special characters, especially either minorities or kids, or special feature, kind of people with special features or people with special talents, I'd have an assistant normally on board to help, especially with the, kind of organizing and mobilizing, organizing, sending out sides to talent. We'd either have the audition physically or it can be online where you submit self-tapes, where that gives an actor a chance to actually do it and do it over and over and over again before they submit. However, if it's a physical audition, then you'll come in and most likely in the room, there'd be myself, maybe an assistant, a camera person, and maybe the director or the client as well, or the producer, someone just from their team. So then thereafter we take, the material we have, the tapes or the recordings that we've done in the audition room. Then we sift through, we see, okay, the mom, the dad, the child. Then we go through and say, okay, these three. Then we call them in for a callback. So during the callbacks, it gets more intense in the sense that maybe there's more material, maybe there's more sides. So maybe you have 2-3 scenarios off of the actual material now. And then basically thereafter, we could make choices and then maybe call in for chemistry. Chemistry basically, oh, this one looks like the father, this one looks like they could fit, this looks like the kid. If there's no time for that and the director knows, okay, fine, I've seen them and that's it, then that's also fine. Then those go now to the rest of production, wardrobe, all that material. So most likely casting will finish off. Of course, sometimes you're involved in the contractual bit, sometimes you're not. Or rather, sometimes I'm not involved in the contracting. But yeah, many times I'd be involved and told, okay, like this is what we have on offer. And that would come at the NDAs stage when I'm signing off myself to marry to your project. Then I know how much you have, I am always on standby when they have either to change talent or on standby where there is reports of maybe misbehavior and I have to step in. I call my office the diplomat's office because you have to play diplomacy between this side and the other side.
How much influence does a director or producer have in the final casting decision?
Oh, they have so much influence. Yeah, they have so much influence. Casting presents you in the best way possible, but then the decision many times rests with powers higher than casting, and that's mostly the director, producer.
Okay. Yeah. So what are some of the key challenges that you faced as a casting director during the process of auditioning and settling for cast?
Casting kids can be a challenge. And I'll say it's because sometimes, you find them very raw. It's raw talent. I love casting for children. I've done so many children projects and I love that process. It always requires a lot of patience to kind of just find the gems in there. It can be just, a challenge. So that means you'll either take longer to find, or you may need to bring in someone for the part, or give it time and let them grow into the role, and then they sit well with it. I hate throwing talent under the bus, but sometimes we have to deal, especially on long-running series, you deal with a lot of cases where suddenly talent becomes difficult to deal with. I hate that word, but it's just the reality of sometimes what we have to deal with. So sometimes you'd find, you're told, oh, this person, we started well, but 3 months in, it's becoming a challenge. And then you have to kind of, again, play the diplomat.
So does that affect you as a casting director when it comes to you wanting to cast someone and you know what they've been through or what they bring to the table sometimes? You're like, I like you, you're amazing, but it affects. Have you found yourself in that kind of situation? Yeah.
And sometimes, you give people a second chance. And production relies heavily on me to tell them, hapa tutakuwa na tatizo. And sometimes you want to really give people, the benefit of doubt and say, hapana huyo, hebu mpatieni chance. Nadhani amerekebika, ama, like anajaribu, nini. And then they go and then it fails. And sometimes we don't want to hear the truth as talent. We don't want to be told that we are being difficult to deal with. We don't want to be told that we are coming to work drunk. We don't want to be told that we're showing up to work and we do not know our lines. We want to be told that we are doing everything well. We want to blame it on things all the time.
Yeah.
And there's nothing as bad as showing up half-baked, half-prepared, and then blaming it on, ni kwa sababu, me, I'm having my own issues. Well, there are 100 of us here. If every one of us brought our issues into this job every day, we'd never get the job done.
Is there anything like a blacklist where you've put people and you're like, nyinyi kwanza kaini hapa for the time being?
No, man. No, I've never thought of that at all. You see, the thing with our industry, news travels.
Yes.
And that news travels really fast and people keep it here because when you're working, like here now, even in this room, we have people. So if today I showed up here and I wasn't ready for this, that's, hey, you're the casting director. Na mina monaga, kungekuwa tuna koka sense of afterwards, maybe once I've left, hey, she didn't show up and she wasn't ready for this. It's not like she was told over a week ago, So there are people on set who watch, and the same people will go and talk about you on another set. Or ile tu news travels so fast. We are such a small industry and people will know so-and-so's behavior. And personally, I do not have a blacklist of why. I don't believe in that. I believe in giving chances. The problem is when you give chances and then you get disappointed.
Yeah.
Or production also knows about these people who's, either they're known to be professionals, but they don't show up the way they expect. They also know. And so it becomes hard. It can't be blamed on casting because everyone knows, So personally, I do not have a blacklist.
Good.
We have to also extend grace and be patient with each other because people are going through different things. Again, it's not a reason for you to be the way you are, but it's just the reality of, what it is,
So we just respect our craft.
Very important, yeah.
Okay.
Respect your craft, have your boundaries, and then,
You're good.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, now let's talk about auditions.
Yeah.
And that auditioning room, penye unakuanga hapo ndani. When a cast or rather an actor comes in and probably walitumiwa sides, ukaambiwa this is the scenario, these are the lines, and they show up with props. How do you feel about that as a casting director?
Me, I always believe in people interpreting stuff the way they interpret them, man. If you show up and you show up seriously with your teddy bear and you use it the right way, then that's fine if that's how you want to express it. If I don't need it, I'll tell you, okay, just put it on the side. Let's assume you have that teddy bear.
Yeah.
And then now let's see how you play it without any of these things. You know, because again, I believe in an actor's free interpretation of a scenario, yeah? So I always let them, you do your thing, and then now I can give you a note, an adjustment here and there, do it this way, give me more of this, give me more of that. But the people will carry things to the audition room, what? Or people will just not even read what's needed, you know, like they'll not read the character Bible. Say, especially for open auditions. I had open auditions last week on Sunday. And you could tell the people who truly like went through and said, okay, this is a 50-year-old woman. Okay, I think I fit that. But you'll find a 25-year-old wanting to try for the same.
50-year-old.
So that's also just another example. Or someone who, the actors also are just gifted differently and they're just comedians and maybe they're not well cut out for drama and they know it. And even I can see that your gift is in something else. It's probably not on this other side, but on this other side, you're really good. So some of them would come in with skits. And it was very interesting because, you know, you'd give them a scenario and they totally struggle with it and you end up, the whole room just, you know, like is happy because now they've done something totally within their comfort, you know.
So would you advise an actor to come in bold or play it safe during an audition?
Make bold choices. Yeah, don't play it too safe. I always say, make the bold choice that you're comfortable with or in, and then we can always adjust.
Okay.
We can always, because I'm telling you, when you have a good, when casting receives the right material, you will always get the right material. The problem always comes when we do not have the right material, so then we can't feed you with the right material until the day of the audition. So when you're in the room then, or maybe outside when you're prepping is when you're given this material. Sometimes you have time, and when that happens, I always encourage actors, sitatakona, instead of kupiga mastori huko, vile watu wanakuta, sasa mjaonana na Koi for 2 years because she was busy on Salem. Now you have the opportunity to catch up. Instead of doing that, sit with Koi and run lines. You know, like, go through the material that you've been given.
How can an actor show versatility during an audition?
So say if they were playing with the sad side of emotion. Sad doesn't mean crying all the time. True. Yeah. So you'd find someone would cry and wail, but I'm telling you, especially for TV, it's really all in the eyes.
Yeah.
So you don't need to play it all dramatic and big. You really can sit in that emotion of sadness if you really understand your character and understand the scenario they are in, and a little bit of maybe okay, where were they before I got here and where are they going after this, or what's their context in this story, and you really sit in it, and the tears will just come even without you forcing them eventually, or that sadness will sit in you until it drags you to that place. And sometimes I always see that some people make that choice of, oh, now this one hii ni ya kulia hii. Nitalia huko nitoe ile makamasi yangu yote nilie kabisa. Sasa saa ingine inakuwa ile kulia mbaya, ile yenye sasa hata ikai.
So you are also a director. And you have done your own beat as a director.
Yeah.
While you directed, did you also cast your own for your own?
No.
You did? Why?
No, I actually maybe did in my mind. So on I've done my feature, yeah?
Yes.
Well, why am I calling it? Only I've done
Not
feature.
You have.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Feature film.
Yes, you have.
So when we were writing, Naomi Gadoni Kamau is the one who was writing. She's my very good friend. And so we worked with her while we were writing that script. And we kind of knew what we wanted. She's a very beautiful mind because she writes like, she almost So like she was writing the language that in a way that I could tell, Yuaya can do this. And I think Anmuli can do this. And I think Michelle can do this. And also with the relations I have. So I had that. I think it's easier, especially when you're working on the story. Yes. Then it's easier for you to really say, okay, I think I know so and so, so and so. And it was a low budget film. So I really needed cooperation. So I could only get that from the people who I've worked with and people who I could talk to and tell them, please support me in my project.
And how did you decide to get into directing from casting director?
You get to a point, honestly, in life, and I think it hits everyone, where you just crave more.
Yeah.
I think that's where I am. And that's how I really hopped onto the directing bandwagon. And I hope to do more. I don't feel like I'm restricting myself to just being this. And especially for women, sometimes we tend to say, mi najulikana tu kufanya hii, so wacha nijifunikie tu hapa. Hapana bana.
Explore.
Life is too large.
You're also exploring on being a DJ.
Me, I'm a DJ. Let me tell you,
I love it.
Kama maisha lazima mtu ujichoche.
It's true. I just love how adventurous you are.
In this life, let me tell you, if you're a young person watching me, no, you really have to, wanasema lazima ujitume. You know what? Okay, so what's the worst that can happen if I failed at that DJing?
Yeah.
See, I've just in fact, I wanted to become a DJ when I was young. My mom couldn't let me. Yes. Me, I knew nawaliza high school na mina ingia homeboys. Homeboys were the only, well, from where I was, they were the only guys who I had heard of.
Yeah.
Offering training for DJs. Bana. Mama yangu akasema,
DJ.
Aje.
Where?
Kanambia tafuta, jaribu pozingi. By the way, she didn't tell me, yani kwa ukali. Nambia, si vibaya, lakini, tuangalie kitu ingine kidogo serious. Kidogo, next to you. So that's how I got into journalism. Because I knew again in this journalism, I also wanted to be on radio.
Yeah.
So, nikajua, nikiingia, that will be I'll be a step closer to. But then I went into film. So
Ushai receive backlash ama as a casting director for not choosing someone.
For not choosing someone?
Yes. Though it's like not your decision, but mtu amekuja na expectations za ni low, so mi na expect nitaingia.
I think I try my best to really give people and feedback when I can. Because again, sometimes it's so intense. And again, the decision is not in my hands. So I can't promise someone at you, utakuja upate hiyo. So I'll communicate and tell you, maybe for XYZ reason, you weren't picked. But I've gotten backlash from projects, yeah? Ile na huyo mtu ulikast huyo, angeweza kufanya hii na ile. So that kind of backlash, yes.
Okay.
Or, so and so is on every kipindi, you know? As an actor, your goal is to work on your craft and become so good at it that you're hired all the time. When you see Koi, when you see Sarah Hassan, when you see Jackie Matubia, when you see Michelle Tiren, when you see Anne Muli, like you feel proud that, wow, man, like they're on nice shows, they're taking lead roles, they're doing this and that so beautifully, as opposed to feeling like, kwani kwa nini wao ndo wanakuanga kila mahali. Imagine that's their goal. They have worked so much on their craft that they duly deserve to be on shows.
Because they're reliable.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
And professional.
This is very important. Now, we usually have a tradition that at the end of our show, we play a game. Where you get to choose 3 questions. 3 random questions.
Oh my goodness.
And you answer them. Na usipo, kama unataka kujibu swali unapigwa fine ya 100 ngapi? 2. Nitabaia mtu lunch pale nje. Somewhere. So this is our box of questions.
Where?
Yes.
So I just speak
randomly. You just speak.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah. Do you have? Do you have? Do you have? Sitaki ya do you. Ama nichukue yeye nimeona hii ya do you. Acha tu nichukue ya do you ndio tu. Let me tell you. Do you sleep with clothes on? No. Nijikaza hivi mchana usiku pia nijikaze. No. I like to let my body breathe.
I love it.
It's just the truth.
It's good.
Yaani nifunike maduve.
Ainaje.
Nimedunga. Kwanza najimwaya kabisa. Question number 2. Maswali yako koi. Hii square ya dui wake. Ai koi, nitapata mtu nikiendelea kule. Nitapata mtu kweli. What's your biggest turn on? The gym.
Oh yeah?
Inaweza kuwa turn on.
It's someone who likes to keep fit. Mtu mwenye anajishughulikia.
Acha nikwambie napenda kulift weights. It's something I got into 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that stuff keeps me turned on.
It does.
Yeah, ama hii mlikuwa mnataka ya nini? Sina mtu katika runinga ni. Ama ni ile. Ni.
So someone who takes care of themselves.
Honestly, I love the iron. The tumor for the gym, the bars, the weights, the nini. It's a lifestyle. I love it. It turns me on.
Very nice. I love it. Number 3.
Kuna ingine nitachukua 4. Kwani nitajibu. Hizi mbili kama ngoja sasa uone do you. Do you ever notice how someone eats a banana? Me, I hate bananas. Do you ever notice how someone eats a banana? Kwani tu notice. So tu kulaga tu banana.
Sasa kuambie. Mimi mtakula ndizi mbele yangu.
Uko na akili chafu mshindo kabisa. I never noticed.
What I say for hygiene issues, for hygiene purposes.
For hygiene. I don't know. Not me kula banana, I just quickly remove the peel, cut it, nakula.
Let me tell you from today. Utaona mtu kula ndizi, you'll notice. You want a bonus question?
Kwani watu kula ndizi aje?
Acha ku-overthink.
Nime-overthink.
Una-overthink.
Bonus. Kwani iko. Ni kama nimejibu ya... Alafu ndio ikuwe the weird one. Umesema natoa saa 2.
Saa 2.
Acha nichukue hii ya juu. Akanye pesi. What do you wish was legal but isn't? Najua ile tumetaka niseme lakini situmiagi. Niko na dread na situmiagi. Ni rasta clean.
Thank you so much, Lord. This was so much fun.
Was it? Nimesema kila kitu.
Umesema kila kitu.
Nime-encourage wasanii.
Yes, I am having you back because there's a topic I want us to talk about, mental health sana because I know you're very pro mental health.
Muhimu. Napenda kucheka, napenda kushare mimi.
Yes.
By the way, if you come to my page, you will be very surprised.
Yeah.
Mimi ni yule msee. So if you're coming for vitu serious, napenda light too, and it's important. Yes, the job is important as well. You'll get tips here and there.
Yeah.
etc, but napenda kucheka, napenda kushare vitu vioja hapo.
Yeah, just have fun.
Play muziki.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. We all are.
Thank you.
We have come to the end of Real Talk today. It has been honestly so amazing. Until next time, be Real Talk.